Hey guys, it's Chris Mincola with the Mincola Group over at West USA Realty, and today we're going to be talking about rental numbers and our CMI index and where we are on that. We'll be giving you all those numbers here, and here we go. So here are the rental market numbers. Hopefully you can see that well, and let's take a look at what's changed here, because we do have a change we want to alert you about and make sure the phone is off. Okay, so the supply in the rental market, and this is a great indicator for where the market is maybe heading. So supply is up 39%. Okay, active properties right now in the rental market are 1,543 on the MLS. And last year during this time, we had 2,138. So that's a good that's good for tenants, not as good for landlords, because obviously there's a shift in the supply and demand there in favor of the tenant. Okay, so that could be a change to watch for. We had seen previously, we see a 20% increase. Also right now we see a 20% increase in that new rental properties coming on the market. So the average lease is, let's see, we've got an average lease of 1.8. That's $1.80 per square foot and $1.93 per square foot year over year. Okay, so that's our shift there. So we see the dip. Now, some of the information we're giving you, obviously it comes to us as a lag. So we kind of have to watch this, see where it goes. It's nothing to go crazy over, but we want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on and what the trend may be. So there's some changes in this rental market that we have right now in the Phoenix area. The usual rental market, would be an indicator for what's going on ahead of everything else. And because the rental market changes quickly, it changes quicker because, somebody signs a lease and they're in, boom, and it closes. So a lot of times, when they purchase, a typical escrow period is going to be 30 days, maybe up to 60 days. Sometimes even today with some of the supply and demand issues that we're having, people can even get post-possessions a lot easier. But it's an indicator of when it comes to, sales and rentals and where things may be headed. So we'll have to keep a careful eye on this, watch, what you're able to, charge people, basically, is what it comes down to if you're a landlord. And for tenants, how things may be opening up possibly. We'll see how it goes, okay? But, we'll kind of see what that shift does, and maybe softening that demand a little bit, and prices may soften also in the rental market and then carry over into purchases. Because the bottom line is, if someone can rent a property cheaper than they can buy a property, they may do that in the short term, at least. Now, buying a property in the long run, over 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years is always going to be a good thing. And beyond, because you lock your payment in, you lock the affordability in, you get a hedge against inflation, and normal increases for our area would be more like 5, 6, maybe 7% instead of 31% like last year, as far as equity gains and prices increases. So right now we're seeing about 1.5 to 2.5% per month increase in prices of home sales. But if people see it's a little bit, and if it ends up being that it's a little bit cheaper to rent for people, that could certainly have an impact on the buyer and seller market. So we'll see how that goes. Now let's look at listings under contract. We looked at rentals. Now let's look at listings under contract for home sales. Okay, we just hit a new record of properties that are under contract, listed properties under contract. Okay, these are just under contract of $300 per square foot. That number was half that 5 years ago. So we're hitting new records here in Phoenix all the time. There's a new one, $300 per square foot for listed properties under contract, versus 5 years ago it was half that. Okay. So that's an increase of also $40 per square foot and for listed properties under contract in the last 6 months. Okay, that's a 15% increase in the last 6 months. So that's huge. There's no surprise since that's where the supply and demand has been going. These are again listings under contract, so not closed yet, but they are always an indicator of where home sales are going. So right now, it's also really easy to see what the indication is on that, because we see their list to sales price ratio. In other words, what the home is listed for and what it actually sells for is 100 and 101.27%. Say, so it's selling for 1.27 over the list price. Okay. On average, that's what homes are going for. So it indicates where things are going, at least for the next 30 to 60 days. Cromford report would tell us, for the next 6 months, we're probably going to see the same increases, pretty much what we saw last year. And going right into that, we're looking at a CMI, that's the Cromford Market Index. It's tied right in with our multiple listing service, gives us the gurus of everything real estate on their index. That's Cromford Market Index. Anything at 100 is a balanced market. For at 100, it's a balanced market. Anything over 110 is a seller's market on the index, and anything below 90 is a buyer's market on the index. So right now we're at 463.7. Last week we were 467.6, a slight drop, but again, we've been dropping maybe a couple points every week. That's really nothing in the grand scheme to be crazy excited about. However, we see that slight drop because demand is at 112.5 this week versus last week we were at 114.1. So the demand is down a little bit, due to price increases, buyer fatigue, rate increases. So, normally, we're running right now at about a 12.5% increase in normal demand. Okay, that's where we are, to 12.5% higher than normal demand. The supply is pretty much where it was last week. It's 24.3. Last week it was 24.4. So not really any change in supply, but still low supply, high demand. Okay, bottom line is still where things are. So by watching the under contract and the rentals each week, or as the data comes in, and watching the CMI as we go along, as we get this information in, we'll know what's happening and when things are starting to level off. Are we there yet? No, I don't think so. Nothing to get crazy worried about, but it may be an indication that things are slowing down, especially with these rate hikes and people getting buyer fatigue, getting priced out of the market, and all that good stuff. So real quick, we are at 31 closed days on market. We have a 1.37 month supply. And remember, for a very long time, we've been at under 1 month supply. That means that there was no new listings on the market at all. We would have that much supply and everything would be sold and there'd be nothing else to sell. So right now, if nothing else came on the market. So we are at 1.37 month supply, and we were running sometimes at 0.5, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, so under a month supply. Now we're at 1.37 month supply. So that's actually a good indication that things are going in the right direction as far as getting into more of a balanced market. What would be a balanced market? Well, we would want to be more at a 3 to 4 month supply in reality for a real, like buyers and seller at level field. The absorption rate is 73.12%. So that's changed a little bit also. They were still getting absorbed pretty quickly, but maybe not quite as quickly as before. And the average list price is $801, but the average sales price in the Valley is $562,153. So guys, that's another big increase there, because I just remember the past couple of weeks, it was more like around 530 something, 540. So we're at 562 average sales price. Okay. So guys, I hope that gives you a quick rundown on everything. If you have any questions, call or text us 480-788-8569. email us at home@mincolagroup.com or check us out online at mincolahomes.com and mincolagroup.com. We'll see you next time. If you have any questions about your hyper-local subdivision, zip code, or area, about rental prices or buying, selling homes, what that may look like, what in your area, or what even refinances or cash out refis would look like, give us a call, shoot us a text, email us, reach out to us. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.